from the Roosevelt Thompson Library here today, and I'm going to do a documentary on Roosevelt Thompson. He was a very famous man, well-known man here in Little Rock, Arkansas. Went to Central and went to Yale. Got a Rhodes Scholarship here at Yale. And here's Miss Mary, the manager here at the library.
Well, thank you, Daniel, for choosing the Thompson Library for your project. We've always been honored to have been named for Roosevelt Thompson. I did not know him, but we have had staff member who was in school in Central with him. He was an outstanding student even before high school, and was thought by many to have gone on to become perhaps the first African American governor for the state. He was always interested in public service and was active in Little Rock before he went to college, and even at Yale. Among all the activities he was involved in, he found time to work with youth in the city of New Haven, which is another extraordinary thing. We're very sorry that he didn't get to take advantage of the scholarship to Oxford. Go on and live a life that he was certainly pleased that the trustees of the Central Arkansas Library System chose in the early 2000s, when they were beginning to plan a new branch for West Little Rock, that this building would be named for him in his honor. And we're honored to share all the resources we have with everyone in the county.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
Okay. What was it about Roosevelt that made him so popular at Central and at Yale?
I think one of the things that made Roosevelt so popular was he was friends with everybody. He didn't have a special, like one social group that he hung out with. He was friends with athletes. He was friends with the top smartest people in our class, or all across the board. So he was friends with everybody. I think that probably sticks out to me as being the thing. And I didn't go to Yale, so I don't know what made him popular at Yale, but I suspect it's the same character trait.
What kind of people did Roosevelt hang out with?
Well, I guess I just sort of said that answer.
Yeah.
He hung out with everybody. He was our student body president, and I can't remember exactly, but I think he probably won in a landslide because everyone thought, all groups at school loved Roosevelt.
What made him stand out and be special throughout the high school and college years?
Well, I think I have to say, first and foremost, he was so bright. He was just exceptionally bright young man, and so talented academically. But then again, he wasn't stuck up. Some people that are kind of smart maybe are a little full of themselves. Roosevelt wasn't. He was smart, and people respected him because he was friendly with everybody, and had, as I said, friends in all areas of, all groups at school, and teachers and family. And
I read somewhere that he got all A's in the school. Why do you think he was such a great student?
Well, I think he was just a naturally super smart person, but he was also he studied. He was a hard worker. I think he put the time in that needed to be put in to be a good student.
What other things did Roosevelt like to do?
Well, he played football. He liked to hang out with his friends. He was on the yearbook, I believe, or he was an editor of the school newspaper, maybe both. What else did he like to do? Those are the things that come to mind. He was in a senior play with me, so there was a moment where he had a little theatrical career.
Yeah. I heard a lot of people say that he could have been the first African American president or the governor of Arkansas. Do you think that this would have been true? If so, explain why.
I do think it would have been true. Now that we just are ending the Obama administration, I have to think that Roosevelt would, that the time was right for an African American president, and I suspect that Roosevelt could have been that man.
What do you think Roosevelt Thompson would be doing now if he was still alive?
Well, he'd probably just be finishing up his presidency. But I think he would be doing something that brings people together, because that's what he did best, and I think he valued bringing communities together to do good things, to help people.
What is your fondest memory of Roosevelt?
Well, when I think about Roosevelt, I think about, there are a lot of memories just in school, but when I just picture him, I picture his smile. He had a little gap in his tooth, between his two front teeth, and he had just the broadest smile.
What did Roosevelt Thompson stand for?
What did he stand for? He stood for integrity, honesty, public service. I could name about 1,000 things. He had a lot of things that he really cared about, and he lived those things. He lived those values.
Thank you, sister.
You're welcome, Daniel. I hope this was helpful.
Oh, it was.
Good.
Hi, Miss Joy. Thank you for coming out. Are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
Okay. What was there about Roosevelt that made him so popular since president at Yale?
He just was so charismatic and so open to all people of every type. He was not judgmental. He was, he just one of a kind.
What kind of people did Roosevelt hang out with?
Well, he didn't really have a whole lot of time to hang out. He did activities with us, but he was so active in school, and he did so many things outside of school, documentaries. He worked at night at the Democratic, or then was the Gazette, and so he really didn't have a whole lot of time to just hang out. But if he did, he would come to some of our parties and things like that.
What made him stand out and be special throughout high school and college years?
Well, he was very bright. He was very much an eloquent speaker. He was a leader. He just made you know that he was up and above everyone else. Not because of that he was haughty or anything like that. It was just because his personality just made him different than everyone else that I've ever met.
I read somewhere that he got all A's. Why do you think that he was such a great student?
I think he was just innately bright. I'm sure he had to work a little bit at it. I remember he was gone at one time for 2 weeks or so to write a documentary, and I had math with him, and he came back and took the test, having been gone for 2 weeks, and I made 1 point higher than him. I thought I was the most intelligent human in the world. Needless to say, he'd been gone for 2 weeks and didn't get any of the instruction. But I think he just must have been innately bright, and it was just a gift from God, I think.
What other things did Roosevelt like to do?
Well, he was very athletic. He loved to play football. He was all-state in football. He loved politics. He worked with Governor Clinton. He worked with different, Ron Brown and different people in politics. He loved that. He loved making a difference. He liked theater. He tried, he was in the play at school, and he really just liked a whole bunch of different types of activities.
I heard a lot of people say that he could have been the first African American president or governor. Do you think that's true? That is true.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. We always thought that. In fact, when Obama was elected, that's the first thought that came to my mind because I think Roosevelt would have been awesome. And I always thought that's what would be his position. We all thought that from junior high until, till his death. We all thought that he would be great at anything, but he excelled everywhere he went. So and any goal that he set, he accomplished. So one of his goals was to be in politics. So I figured that he would have been the first African American governor or senator or president for sure.
What do you think Roosevelt would be doing now if he was still alive today?
Well, I think he'd definitely be in politics. I think he would be working in the inner cities. I think he was very involved in his church. His dad was a preacher and he was very involved in his church. So I definitely think he would be associated with a church. And I think I think politics would be the main thing, and then his other work, like I said, I know he would be doing something productive, for sure.
What's your fondest memory of Roosevelt?
The one that stands out the most to me was one night we were having a program. I think it was like an honors program or something like that, an awards program, and it was pouring rain. And he was in his suit because he was the president of the school, so he had to oversee, be the MC of the program. And one of our friends had a flat tire on her car. And I remember him, even though he had to go in that program, I remember him getting out of his car, coming over to us where we were, and he changed her flat in the middle of the pouring rain, even though he had a program that he had to be at. So he had to go home and change. He lived not too far from school. So he had to go home and change and do all that and then be back at the program. And not a lot of people would stop and do that in the pouring rain. And he definitely would do that. So that's one of my fondest memories. And then I talked to him the day that he was killed in the car accident. He was home that day, and he just received a Rhodes Scholar. And I called him on the telephone to pretend like I was someone else, an interviewer, a reporter, and he knew exactly who I was the minute I opened my mouth, because he just knew everything. That was the bottom line. So those are two of my fondest memories.
And the last question today is, what did Roosevelt Thompson stand for?
What was right. They say you stand up for what's right, and even though everybody else around you may not be standing up, if you don't stand up for something. And he stood up for what was right. He would resolve conflicts at our school among adults, as well as students. And he just stood for what was right, what was good in the world, and how a person should live their life as a witness for God and for just a human being. He stood for everything that was right in the world.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm already speaking with two of Roosevelt Thompson's former classmates. Now I want to speak with one of his former teachers, Mr. Barry Hardin. Mr. Hardin, are you ready?
I am.
What was it like having Roosevelt as a student?
Roosevelt was maybe the best student that I ever taught in my 17 years at Little Rock Central. He had a brilliant mind, but more than that, he had wisdom far beyond his years. Whenever I would give him tests in honors English, all the other students would have to answer difficult questions about literature, and I would ask Roosevelt to answer from a particular viewpoint, such as a feminist viewpoint, or a socialist viewpoint, or an existentialist. And so he would answer the same questions other people did, but from whatever viewpoint I asked him to. He was pretty brilliant.
I read somewhere that he got all A's. Why do you think he was such a great student?
Well, first of all, he was that bright, and secondly, he worked very, very hard. I found out from his parents after he was dead, after he died, we were at his funeral, that he only got 4 hours of sleep a night.
Whoa.
Yeah. He only required 4 hours of sleep a night. And so he worked almost unendingly. But he also was exceedingly bright on top of that. So he pretty much was a straight-A student from all the time that I ever knew him.
What kind of people did Roosevelt hang out with?
That I'm less sure of because being his teacher rather than his peer, I'm not quite as qualified to answer, but I know a lot of his friends in his class that I taught, and so he ran around with them, but he also ran around with a lot of other people. I think everybody in the school knew him and everybody liked him. He wasn't, he was just universally liked and had a lot of friends.
What made him stand out and be special throughout his high school and college years?
I think the thing that made Roosevelt perhaps different from other people was that he was not only so bright, but he had great wisdom for someone so young. I've known people who were much, much older than he and yet had nowhere near the wisdom he did, and he was only a 17-year-old student when I taught him. He was also the most Christ-like person that I've ever known in my whole life. He simply never felt anything but love for anyone, no matter how they acted or no matter how they treated him. He responded with love, and that's precisely what Christ asked of us. So I saw him in a way as a Christ figure.
What other things did Roosevelt like to do?
He enjoyed having intellectual discussions with other students about books, about literature, about history. He enjoyed a lot of intellectual. He liked to discuss colleges. He liked careers that he might consider. He loved to talk about politics. He was good about discussing social issues. And I'm sure he enjoyed other things, but those are the things that I know about.
I've heard a lot of people say that he could have been the first African-American president or the governor of Arkansas. Do you think that's true? If so, explain why.
Yes, I do. And at the time that I was teaching him, one of the Little Rock television news stations interviewed me and asked me what I thought about his future. And at that time I said I thought he would be the first African-American governor and perhaps the first African-American president. I still feel the same. Had he lived, I think he probably would have been. He was just simply such an awesome human being. And he was so greatly, universally loved by everybody who knew him.
What is your fondest memory of Roosevelt Thompson as a teacher?
As a teacher, it would be his answering my questions from different viewpoints and being so modest about it. Very few people could do what he could do, but he would not take a lot of pride or a lot of show off. He wouldn't ever show off. He was very, very modest. And but he always had a sly grin and a smile whenever I looked at him. And I think that I enjoyed that sly grin about as much as anything about him. It was just kind of an understanding that we had between us that I enjoyed. Also, after he graduated, we became more social friends, and we used to have lunches together. And I enjoyed hearing what he had to say as a person, as opposed to being my student.
And the last question here today is, what did Roosevelt Thompson stand for?
Roosevelt Thompson stood for what the best of us can be. White, black, rich, poor. He was a model for everyone, and I wish other people could just even have half of what he had, the world would be a heck of a lot better place.
Thank you, Mr. Harden.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me.
Past president at Central, well, Roosevelt was the student body president. Are you ready, Dad?
Yes, sir, I am.
What made Roosevelt stand out and be special throughout his high school and college years?
Well, Roosevelt was a very bright young man and a very good student. He was involved in other activities in class, but I think it was his intellect and his humility that made him stand out. You would never know just by talking to, you would know by talking to him that he was very special and very intelligent, but he wouldn't do that in a flashy way. He was a very humble person.
What do you think Roosevelt Thompson would be doing now if he was still alive today?
I feel sure that Roosevelt was on the path of politics and public service, and I think he very likely would be in some elected position in the state or the country at this point in his life.
I heard that he got all A's. Why do you think he was such a great student?
Roosevelt did make all A's. He was a national merit finalist, I think, one of about 10 in our class. But his mother was a school teacher, his father was a minister, and I think education was very important to him. And I think that base of that at his home was probably where that all started. And he was a very hard worker too, a very good, hard-working student.
What kind of people did Roosevelt Thompson hang out with?
Well, I don't really know. In high school, I didn't know him at Yale, but in high school, I never saw Roosevelt except at school or on the football field or in a play. But I think he was the kind of guy who would study a whole lot and probably worked outside the home and didn't have very much time for silly activities that the rest of us did. I think he was just a very hard-working, driven student.
What other things did Roosevelt like to do besides school?
Well, I think he loved learning. I think he loved and was passionate about learning new things and being a good student. But he was also on the football team. He was in school plays. He was active in the community, volunteering for various organizations. So I think he spent most of his time and energy on being a good student.
I heard a lot of people say he could have been the first African American president or the first governor of Arkansas. Do you think that this is true? If so, explain why.
A lot of people have speculated that Roosevelt was certainly qualified and capable enough to be governor of Arkansas, U.S. Senator. I can see either of those things, and certainly president. We always talked about it. And I think that, Roosevelt would have been a year younger than Barack Obama. So who knows what a race between those two may have looked like, but I think he would have made an excellent representative of our state and the leader of our country, certainly.
I know I spoke at Roosevelt's funeral. Can you tell us what it was like when you got the news that he died?
Yes, I was on spring break, and I had plans to go to the Oaklawn racetrack that day, and I got a phone call, and we just couldn't believe that it was true, and so we called other people and found out that it was indeed true that Roosevelt had died in a car wreck going back to Yale, and we just all felt lost. All the friends that were left behind, we gathered at a teacher's house, Ms. Stedman's house, and we just tried to figure out where we were going to go from there, because it just didn't seem real that someone of Roosevelt's promise could be gone from us. It was the kick in the gut that never really went away.
What was your fondest memory of Roosevelt?
My fondest memory of Roosevelt, I think just the way that he made us, all of his classmates and schoolmates, feel united. I think he was a unifying figure. He made us feel like we were all good and all equal, and I think he stood for fairness and equality, and just finding all the good things in people that are there and bringing those good things out.
What do you Thank you, Daddy.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to visit with you.
Hi, I'm Daniel Shelton, and I'm at the site of Roosevelt Thompson's funeral and of his high school. He graduated from Central and was a phenomenal student here at Central. He unfortunately did not, like I said earlier, this is his side of his funeral. Someone was driving fast and came over a median and hit and killed Roosevelt Thompson when Roosevelt Thompson was going back to Yale after spring break. He was a national merit finalist. He got a Rhodes Scholarship. He wanted to learn more. He was one of those kids who just wanted to excel and learn more. And he was in plays. He played football here at Central and at Yale. He was just awesome. So many talents. Everybody who knew him, and even me, we are all sorry that he's not here with us today. The reason why I chose this topic was because I heard my dad talk about him. He was one of his former classmates. I heard my dad talk to him at like Central football games and on the phone with his classmates. I just wanted to learn, like, why is this guy so famous? I mean, why are people still like talking about him here today, in 2017? I just want to learn more, and that's why I'm doing this documentary. I hope you guys learned a lot, because I sure did. Thank you. I determined as I finished high school to push the limits of my capabilities, as I had never been tested before, particularly in the academic arena. I have studied education both in the classroom and in activities outside of the academic life, as an ongoing preparation to participate actively and fully in public life of my community, state, and nation. Roosevelt Thompson, 1983.